Hey, this is Vernon Reed from Living Color, and you're watching the Helix Hour.
Welcome to the Helix Hour, brought to you in part by Design39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for the Helix Hour are provided by Rode Microphones. Now, let's talk some Helix. Hey everyone, happy Sunday to you all. Welcome to the Helix Hour, and we are live. Had a couple technical problems, which is, you know what? It's the nature of the internet and live YouTube or TV, however you want to say it. But today we're happy to be joined by Line 6 artist, Angle Amplifiers, Ibanez Guitars artist, Jen Majura. Jen, how are you?
Thank you, Eric, for having me. I'm doing very good. How are you?
Doing absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. We're going to have a great day today for sure. And I want to thank you exclusively for, for sharing all these things on all your profiles. I mean, you're a real champion. I really appreciate that.
Well, I had a very busy social media day today. I don't know, for whatever reasons, I planned on posting just one post a day because I usually post every 3, 4, 5 days. And then my friend Ola Englund from Sweden, from the band Sphere and the Haunted, he came up with posting something about me, and then I reposted, and then I ended up posting about this show tonight, and it's so many posts today. So I'm like, I spent my day on social media. I'm like worn out. I'm happy to have a human conversation with you right now.
It's very nice. It's very nice to actually talk some guitar and talk Helix and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah.
As well too. So we're gonna have lots of fun. There's gonna be a million people jumping into the chat. So I want to apologize to a lot of the regular viewers that jump in. We normally say, "Hey Bob," and "Hi Tony," and how those kind of things. We're just gonna kind of ask questions from some of the fans in the chat. But you were mentioning to me as well, too, you mentioned the fact that you had some videos coming up and things like that. Video shoots, I should say. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we start?
Did I tell you about that? Well, I'm in Bulgaria because I recently joined a band called Sevi from Sofia in Bulgaria. They sent me a request for a guest guitar solo. And I checked them out, and I think they really have potential. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this. Let's go nuts. And I recorded the solo for them, and the album was released on March 9th. And now they want to do a video shoot and invited me to Bulgaria. And I love the city of Sofia. I haven't been there since quite some years, and I can't wait to go back there. And it's going to be some crazy shit video. I'm looking forward to it.
You've probably, through music, you've probably really got to experience some beautiful parts of the world, right? I mean, maybe some things that you would have never seen had it not been for music?
I think the most outstanding and most beautiful place I've ever witnessed was Sydney Opera House. Because with Evanescence and our latest album, Synthesis, we toured literally the world. And we played 2 shows at the Sydney Opera House in Sydney, in Australia. And dude, man, I tell you, you sit in that Sydney Opera House and you go like, oh my God, I would be lucky just to be in the audience, like watch a show in that Sydney Opera House. But now you're on stage, like what the fuck? It's been really so intimidating, but great at the same time. I think that is like one of the most outstanding places that music took me, except from Tokyo and Brazil and Argentina and all the other crazy places. And also Windsor in Canada. We played there. Why haven't you been to our show, by the way?
Windsor is 45 minutes from me. When did you play there? Last year, wasn't it? Evanescence was there last year?
Last year, yeah.
That would be at the casino. At the...
yes.
Oh, my God.
Caesar's Place, Palace, something.
Yeah.
You should have come.
I know. Well, I didn't know much about you back then. I mean, I knew of you as a guitar player, but I wasn't following the tour dates, and I'm kicking myself in the butt majorly. But
shame on you.
And you know what? I do remember seeing the billboards now too. I'm flabbergasted that I missed that. But you know what? I tell you, if you ever come that close again, I won't miss it. That would have been a great thing. But let's go back to Sydney for a quick second. There's a lot of places in the world that I've never seen. A million places, and I'll never get to experience them like you do. I mean, Japan is a place I'd like to visit someday. It's just on my bucket list of things I want to do, but Australia has always been there for me. And when you talk about the Sydney, the Opera House, what was it like? I mean, obviously, I know what it's like to be there from what you're saying, but what was the acoustics like? Was it one of those things where it was just a beautiful sound to be in that environment, or?
Well, with Evanescence, we work with in-ears. So I've got my in-ears right now here.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really get to experience the real acoustic happening when you're on stage. So we've got our in-ear monitor mix and shit. But from what I can tell, the Sydney Opera House from the inside was pretty old. I was like expecting something outstanding, like outrageous. And then it just looked like a normal concert hall, like an old, like maybe 70s, 80s concert hall. But it was cool, don't get me wrong. I mean, it felt really great to just be there and play a show and perform. But altogether, it's not that big. I don't remember how many people were attending the concert. It was great. But it's different than from what I imagined it to be.
Sure. Do you remember what it's like back in the day when you were playing small clubs? Like, do you kind of miss? Do you kind of miss the small clubs?
Of course I do.
What was it like compared to now when you see a stage and you're playing stages around the world where you're like, you may not even see the same person's eyes twice, and you look, but back in the club days, you see that same guy or girl that comes to every single show. Do you kind of miss those days?
I don't miss them because I still do them. There is this certain kind of charm that you have about the stadium shows, and there's a certain kind of charm you have when you play little tiny club shows. For example, I don't know, with Synthesis, each show we did on the last tour were like 20 up to 25,000 people. And if I play, for example, a solo show in Germany with my solo band, we have 100 people maybe in the club. So I like each one of them because playing in front of a great audience, in front of a big audience, gives you that certain kind of, it's like a wave of emotions coming at you. But playing in a tiny little venue or a little rock pub where you literally can see each one of the audience, it's got its charm too. And I like both, to be honest. So I still do those little club gigs, and I love them. I love to carry my amps and my shit and put on the cables and everything. And I like to do that because it keeps me grounded. I don't want to turn into one of these, I'm a big rock star, hey, carry my shit. I don't remember how to tune my guitar. I don't like that. Yes. I want to stay human.
Grounded. I always say, I always like to say, like cement shoes, where like you're kind of stuck on the ground, and once you start elevating yourself, you have to kind of recheck yourself a little bit. I'll bet you $1 million that when you're doing these, actually I don't have $1 million to give you, so I'm not going to bet you. But when you're doing these smaller clubs as well too, I bet you get a lot of these guys and girls that are the techies that want to talk guitar and how do you do this. And I know you're very techie as well too. You like to talk shop and talk guitar. Do you get those people after the show? Tell me how you're running your gear and what are you doing here? Blah blah blah, like that.
Yeah, sure. And I like to talk about it. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, for example, when it became public that I use the Helix, Line 6 Helix pedal board, everybody kept sending me messages like, oh my God, really, Jen? I thought you would play angle amps. And I'm like, guys, are you stupid or what? So I ended up putting out a video. This is how I connect my Helix to my angle amps because I use the 4-cable method.
Yep.
Which means I literally use the Helix as an effect board and use the power of my angle amp, which I'm really super happy with, which is why I also got the HX effect recently. And it's so cool. It works perfect. I put it in my suitcase. It's light to travel. And I played not the Copenhagen, which show did I play? I went to the NAMM show with it and played for Fishman Music. And it was really cool because I didn't try it out at home. I programmed everything, but I didn't know if it really works. So I flew to the NAMM show and I was kind of like nervous testing it out.
Sure.
But it worked really great, which gives me a very, very calm and secure feeling about the fact that Line 6 products are very reliable, like
Agreed.
They're easy to understand and they're very reliable, which gives me a good feeling.
I agreed for sure. And actually, I was just kind of briefed on that this afternoon or this morning, actually. I was talking with my good friend Frank at Line 6, and he'd mentioned the fact that I think Matt had told him that you're using HX effects now as well, too. And just the other night, on the EVH and Gear TV show, I had guitarist Oz Noy on the show, and he's one of those purists that just absolutely loves real amp tone and real pedals. And he's using HX effects now too, so that's a good testament on the quality of that product. We just had a $10 super chat from Chad Boston. I'm going to see what he says here. I'm going to go to the chat, say hi to a bunch of people really quickly here, and see if I can. He says, "Let's start the super chat support train going." That's fantastic. And I'm going to jump back to the chat, say hi to a whole bunch of people really fast, and when we come back, I want to talk to you about the passion that you have for guitar, the way like you're so happy when you play guitar. We're going to come back to that and touch base on that. So we have another $10 super chat as well too. That is from, let me see here, from Jason Wade. I'm down with the sickness. Let's do this. That's good. Here we go. All right, we just opened up a can of worms in a good way. Riley Ioacker is here. Bam Ozzy is here. Ronnie Henschel Music Channel is here. Jenna's the greatest. I'm gonna go through this really fast. Nocturnal Butterfly is my beautiful better half here. She runs the chat with her team of moderators. Fantastic. We have another super chat. I'll get to that in just a brief moment. Thank you so very, very much. Carlo Santin, one of my other moderators. Ladybug is here, moderator. We have a great moderator team here. Let me see here. Kai Down is here. Eva G Evanescence. Yes, I'm here for this. Whoop whoop. Can't wait.
Whoop, whoop. It's my significant sound. Whoop whoop.
I love that. I'm probably not doing it justice. Bam Ozzy is here. Riley R. Accurate, I mentioned him. Terry's GG&G, another moderator, which is great. We have like a full force of military moderators in our chat today. Ronnie Henschel Music, I mentioned that. And I'm going to miss some people.
Ronnie, hi.
My goodness. Okay, this is going to be a super chat day. I'm sure it is. Milady 268 is here. Cyber Evil area.
Ingrid, hi.
You got some great fans.
I know all of those guys. It's so funny.
That's great.
These are all the admins of my fan club, so it's fun.
We're blessed to have your fans coming over here today. You have a great support system for sure. Luna Fanatic, Kirsten Salamont, I'm sorry. Milady 268, Shekius. Frank Rashad, I love him to death from Line 6. He's here. I told you off the air, too, that how much he enjoys you. Let me see here. Matthias Ka from One Tape. Kai Down. Oh, man. This is going to be crazy. You hear that? Every time that little ding goes off. Okay, Brian Cote is here. A great friend of mine from Canada. Matthias, has mentioned Matthias. Rita N. We've got links for you all day long as well. We just put your YouTube out here as well, too. And actually, that's our video as well. Let me see. Make sure I don't miss any. Will Varela is here. You have some serious fans. Not that there's any doubt. JJ's House of Jams, another.
I've got some serious fans.
You do, yeah, crazy.
And you
fans.
know what? You mentioned Mattis. He's the singer of the band One Tape, and all of those guys are students from my music school because I own a music school, and I love the guys from the bottom of my heart. The guitar player has been my student for many years and now studies music. I'm very proud of him. And they just won to be in a national competition for newcomer bands.
Okay. And
they're going to put out a show this Friday. And I'm really keeping my fingers crossed for you guys. I love you and I support you.
Fantastic. Great. Brian Cote, $6.99, $7 super chat. Jason Sedite, super chat. Connor Haduven, super chat. Kai Down, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm trying to keep up with everybody here. So let's talk about something. And this is going to be, I'm the worst person when it comes to chat. So I'm almost going to. Every time we hear that, I can't keep up with it. It's like you're at a variety store and you hear the door opening. Thank you so very much. I just saw. Okay, this is kind of. We have to take a moment here and say something here as well too. Joe Bentavania, the new president of Yamaha Guitar Group, is joining the chat. A wonderful company.
Oh wow,
Joe, thank you.
Hi, Joe. Lovely. Thank you for being here.
I watched Joe's posts on social media. The guy is like Superman. He's chiseled like Clark Kent, Superman. Everything he does. He's a cook. He's a gardener. He runs one of the world's greatest companies in the world. What can you say about this fellow?
Superman, right?
Yeah, there you go, Superman. And guys and girls, I'm sorry, I'm going to do my very, very best with the chat. It's actually crashing my Macintosh. Let's come back to you now, and let's talk about the passion you have for guitar. Like, as an outsider looking in, I watch you play, and like you just smile with passion. You're having so much fun. And like I had a guest on the EVH show some time ago. I had Paul Gilbert on the show. And
oh my God.
He just makes you just love guitar, even if you've never played guitar. And
right.
I want to ask you, what is it about guitar that just makes you like so damn happy?
What makes you so damn happy? I recently had the ultimate experience again, and it happens to me all over again and again. So I sat down to learn this Steve Vai track because I wanted to do a cover of it, which I posted this morning. So I sat down and I started to figure shit out, how to play it and everything. And I remember it was like, I don't know, noon-ish. And when I finished practicing, I was like, ooh, now this is the time where my fingertips kind of hurt. It's like, ow. Then I looked out of my window and it was night. And I was like, what? Where did my day go? I mean, it was sunshine, and why is it night already? So what I love about playing guitar, and I speak specifically for me, is that I can lose track. I can totally fly away to another dimension. I'm just like into that moment of playing guitar, creating, learning, discovering, all those good things. And when I wake up to be back to reality, I'm like, where did the time go? So I literally sat there and practiced for 6 hours and forgot time. And this is the most valuable thing when it comes to playing the guitar for me. It's like I can let myself fall into music, which really is either a great opportunity to feel creative or just like escape reality for a little bit. Or when it comes to the shows with Evanescence, it's like you give yourself into the music, you play your instrument, you forget about the rest of the world, and you can just enjoy the energy exchange with fans. And I really love that. That's what I love about playing the guitar.
Well, it's nice because your passion will kind of influence people as well too, and it's very contagious. And what I've tried to say on some of my different shows before too, whether you have like you got to pay bills, or you're happy, or you're sad, or you're depressed, or someone you've lost a family member, whatever, and all these emotions we go through on a daily basis, your guitar or your instrument, in this case we're talking about guitar, is always going to be there for you. The guitar doesn't care if you're paying the rent. The guitar doesn't care if something traumatic has happened to you, if you've lost your job. But when you need it, it's there. And the only thing I think that changes, I would assume you'll agree with this, is the only thing that changes from day to day when you approach the guitar is your attitude. The guitar is ready to be played and ready to serve you, but it's your attitude each day that will change. So if you have a bad day, it's not the guitar's fault. It's just you. Come back.
Of course, tomorrow. Exactly. If you have a bad day, you just feel the input and the output is different. It's not bad, but it's different. And I always try to, whatever I do, I try to vent it into positive output, because I think we live in a very fast and very social media and very internet orientated world. So I always try to focus on the good. I have this kind of sayings like support the good, do a good thing every day. And I really stick to that because, when I feel emotions, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. If I feel sad, I can translate it into a beautiful melancholy song or whatever. If I feel happy, I can also translate it into like a funny post or happy music or whatever. But I think it's beautiful that we musicians have the opportunity to turn imaginations, emotions, pictures into music for others to hear and maybe feel the same or their own emotions and see their own pictures. Like music is such a great language, and I'm really, really glad that I can communicate with it.
That's exactly that. Communication with people across the world. I mean, I have a limited vocabulary when it comes to English. I know a little bit of French because my mother was French.
Oh, tu parles français?
A little bit, just a tiny bit, and a little. I mean, when French can translate to Spanish. When I went to a Dominican one time, I could actually interpret Spanish a little bit with a bit of a native French language. But take away any vocabulary, whether it be German, Russian, English, Japanese, whatever. Guitar music itself will translate across the globe, and it kind of it takes away those barriers, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I love that because music is the ultimate language, which everybody can relate to, which everybody understands, which everybody can talk with.
Agreed.
True.
And before I forget this question, I want to mention from Bam Mozzie says, can you add, and I had a note to talk to you today about your Ibanez guitar. So obviously that's very, very cool. And the question I was going to ask you was, it was like, yeah, there you go. Beautiful, beautiful. Joining the Ibanez team. And we'll maybe bounce back to that. But he is asking, can you ask Jen if she's working on her own signature Ibanez? Nita has hers. Is there some talk about that?
Okay, I know that Nita has, as the first female artist, and Nita and me, we're friends.
Yep.
I recently had, just a couple of hours ago, I had a beautiful talk with Nili Brosh, who's also an Ibanez artist and who's such a great, talented guitar player. And we talked about the fact that us female guitar players, we really support each other and we really push each other's names. And it's each time so funny when I look at the Sausage Party guitar community. Mm-hmm. they keep fighting, like, I'm faster than you, I'm better than you. And us girls, no matter if it's Nita Strauss, Nili Brosh, Courtney Cox, Gretchen Mann, we all are aware of each other and we support each other and push each other's names, which is a beautiful thing. Anyway, blabbering. So Nita has her own signature, the Jiva. It's a great guitar. I checked it out, one of her prototypes, and I played it and I love it. She really did a great job with Ibanez together. So we are now talking about an LA custom shop guitar, which is not a signature model, but which is literally my perfect idea of a guitar for me. And then we'll go from there and see what's coming up.
Well, there you go. And
I can't make any promises.
I watched a video of you. It's funny that you mentioned Nita. She's been on the show as well before, too. And I saw a video of you guys doing the Trooper together. That was pretty cool.
Oh, God. That was the first time when we met.
Was it?
Because she played a clinic in Berlin, and it was literally before I think it was before I played my first Evanescence show. And she was like, "Hey, Jen, there are 2 fans for you." And I'm like, "What? I just got into the band. How can there be fans?" And so Luna and Laura showed up, and it was really, really nice because they wore Evanescence t-shirts and they showed up to the clinic because they heard that I'm going to perform with Nita, and it was really nice. Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, this is funny. This is something I did not have on the itinerary to ask you today, but you and I talked about this off the air, and because I run another show, the Eddie Van Halen, EVH Gear TV, it's kind of
here it comes.
Yeah, here it comes. So I did see this, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and I never really thought about, okay, what was the experience like for you in this case? But I saw Amy, on social media saying, it was great seeing Eddie and his wife Janie come backstage at an Evanescence concert. And so, she was thrilled getting to meet, the king of guitar, Mr. Eddie Van Halen. You got to meet him as well, too. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So it's been a rumor. Apparently, the tour manager of Evanescence, the tour manager of Van Halen called us, and he was like, "Hey, listen, Edward would really like to see the show. I know it's very complicated with the LA guest list, so we could buy tickets as well, but is it possible?" And Troy, our guitar player, who is like the biggest Eddie Van Halen fan, he was like, "Done! Even if I buy the tickets for my own show, Eddie Van Halen is coming to our show." So it was kind of exciting. So the whole day, it's been like this weird fog, like nobody knows, this mysterious thought, is he coming or not? And then Troy and me, we were outside backstage, and there was this black car coming in, parking, and there was a driver with a, really chic driver with a suit and hat and sunglasses getting out of the car, and Troy and me were like, "Oh my God, Eddie Van Halen is here." And then I had to go inside because for the last tour, I joined the opening act, Cello Graham, which is Dave Egger, cellist, and Chuck Palmer, percussionist and programmer. And I joined them. We played Kashmir together. So I went stage left to my guitar tech, got my in-ear, my pack, my guitar and everything. And then I had to walk stage right. And I passed Amy's dressing room. And I was like, wait a minute, that was Eddie Van Halen in there. So I went back and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've got 30 seconds left to go on stage.
Oh,
shit.
No.
So I went into that room, interrupted them because they were talking. I'm like, "Can you sign my guitar, please, right here? Oh, my guitar head, please, can you sign it?" And he looked at me as if I was a crazy person. He signed it. And I'm like, "Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Bye."
And you had to go.
I left.
Oh, my God.
because I had to go on stage and play Kashmir with the guys. And it was a really fun show because the boys and me, we just finished synthesis tour with orchestra, which means Troy, our other guitar player, and Tim, our bass player, who also played guitar on this tour, and me, we were sitting on stools. So we had a lot of time to observe the audience. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, we've been sitting there scouting the audience for Eddie Van Halen. It's just been like this. Where is he? Where is he? He's got to be here. It was so funny. But apparently he watched the show, but he left before the encore, so I didn't meet him again. But I mean, I have him sign my guitar. And this guitar is signed by somebody else too. So this, my favorite gem, is signed by Richie Kotzen.
Beautiful.
He's one of my favorite guitar players and favorite people on the planet.
I love him to death as well too, and he's one of only 3 I haven't had from the Winery Dogs on the show. I've had Billy and I've had Mike Portnoy.
Really?
Yeah, but so we're working.
I'm going to have coffee with Billy next month when we're rehearsing for the upcoming May tour in the States. I tell him he shall tell Rich, or I can just give him a call and
I appreciate that. And actually, yeah, Billy's actually texted Richie as well too to tell him about the show. So I appreciate that. Any word you can spread, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, you got my back. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Let's talk about, actually, since we're on the Evanescence kind of topic just for a second, and we're going to kind of go in and out of order a little bit. But I mean, another incredible guitar player who just happens to be a very good friend of yours with Alex. Alex kind of dropped your name to Amy and said, hey, I got this, I know you're looking for a guitar player. There's no need to audition anybody. I've got a friend here. Tell us a little bit about that story, how that came about, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in the band.
Okay, so I was back in the days playing with another band, and we played 2 festivals, one in south of Germany and one in the Czech Republic. And on the same day I played with that other band, it happened to be Testament on the billing. Mm-hmm. So I've always been a great admirer of Alex because I consider his playing to be one of the really rare ones that is accepted as well in the jazz world as well as in the metal world. Usually when you're a metal guitar player, the jazz world goes like, oh, you're a dull metal player. And the other way around. So you're a serious, metal player. And then the jazz world goes like, ugh. And so I think Alex is one of the guys who is really respected on each side, which I think is beautiful because I'm all about being open and being open-minded for styles and inventing new styles and stuff. So I loved his playing, and we ended up talking on those 2 festivals. And that was literally all. We just talked. And a couple of days later, he received the request for a female guitar player for Evanescence, and he dropped my name. So, and then he sent me this funny email. He was like, listen, Jen, friends of mine are going to contact you. I can't reveal anything, but it's something you should say yes to. It was very mysterious, and I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, yeah, whatever, Alex. Yeah, right?
Pulling your leg.
And then I got that email from the Evanescence management, and it says, hey, Jen, I'm the manager of Evanescence. We would kindly like to ask you if you're interested. Enter, yes, sent. I didn't even read the whole email.
What
and the rest is history.
That is absolutely incredible. Well, I definitely don't want to spend the whole show today talking about Evanescence, but I want to ask you, because the whole goal of having you today here is to talk about you as an individual artist. But I want to ask you, what did that do? I mean, people can figure this out, but what did it do for the exposure for you as a solo artist joining Evanescence? How did it kind of bring you to some new fans that maybe wouldn't have discovered you?
Well, if I'm really honest, my life exploded in August 2015 when I joined Evanescence. It was, and it still is, insanity. It's like, I don't understand how, for example, when I did my latest solo album, Insanity, I decided to put a crowdfunder out there to finance the whole album production. And you have to name like a certain kind of goal you want to reach with your crowdfunder. So I thought like maybe $3,000. Mm-hmm. Is that too much? So the guy I was doing it with, he was helping me. He's a good friend of mine, and he was like, "No, Jen, you got to go $6,000." And then I was like, this is too much. I don't want to. People are going to go like, "Hey, no, she's an Evanescence. She's got money. Why the hell does she ask us for our money?" And I didn't feel quite comfortable with the goal of 6,000 euros. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, whatever. Yes. So the end result for my crowdfunder for my latest album, Insanity, was $15,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm still so speechless when I think about it. And you can see where people ordered your album and all the perks and stuff. And it's all over the world. You know, I live here in Germany in that little village, and out of a sudden there are people from Australia, Japan, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, America, all over America, Canada, England, Spain, Sweden. Everybody's ordering, and I'm like, how did this happen? It's crazy. It's been a riot.
There probably wasn't a continent, a country, a city, a town that really didn't participate. More than likely, I'm sure if you broke it down, it'd probably be easier just to say, okay, well, this place didn't contribute, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It was super crazy. And I'm thinking about putting another crowdfunder out for my guitar project, Something on 11. We've recorded 8 songs, and I want to release them, which is really funny. It's a very arty, hard rock driven guitar album.
Okay.
And the plan was to go on tour with Something on 11 in Europe a little bit, but the thing is, I have this other band called Evanescence, and we'll be, and they kind of requested my appearance. So
a little hard to say no to that, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Amazing. Well, the coolest thing here, and the bottom line of all of this, is that you're so passionate about what you do. You find ways to balance, which is tough. Balance, a solo career, balance a professional touring career on both sides of the fence. Video shoots and demos from manufacturers. I mean, honestly, how do you find the time? Do you have personal managers that kind of help you a little bit with that kind of thing, or what?
I tell you honestly, this has become the one question in every interview. How, Jen?
Yeah.
How do you do that? I do not work with any management. I do not work with any personal assistants or anything. I just don't like stagnation, like I don't like to be stable at one place and not be moving forward, not be being innovative, or I just don't like it, because life is short. Mm-hmm. And I want to make the most of it every single day of my life. So I keep pushing and I keep being innovative. I try to come up with new ideas, and I try to keep all my antennas out there. And I just like working. My friends always call me, "You're a crazy workaholic." But yeah, I am. But that is what literally gives me joy. It's like I'm happy when I'm productive, when I'm being, when I do things that will bring me forward. So it's just, I'm a workaholic. That's how I find my time.
There's always going to be a time to, kick back on the couch when you're older and just relax and watch some television or whatever it may be.
Like Bon Jovi once said, "I'll sleep when I'm dead."
Yeah.
God damn it.
That's right. And, sometimes, too, people have personal managers and assistants that do all these kind of things. But I can imagine for some people, like, what it's like sometimes if someone asks you to train them on something, and it's going to take you so long to train them, so you're just like, I'll just do it myself. And you're not.
I'll tell you honestly, I am a horrible control freak.
Yeah?
I am. I really am. And I know that about myself. I'm a bad control freak. And before I trust anybody with, "Can you do me a favor and edit that video or whatever?" Yeah. I'll just do it by myself.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to, control it. And in the end, it's not how I wanted it to be. And then I still end up being like the editor of the video. So I just learned it the hard way. Do it yourself, then you know it's right.
I get that 100%, especially like when you're talking about video editing. So like maybe you'd prefer them to show this type of an angle. They don't know your mindset. They don't know your style. They might be phenomenal in video editing, but they just don't know how you want to perceive it. So I can get that. And sometimes, the creative people like us, we take more of a burden on ourselves to do these kind of things, but it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's actually the blessing in disguise. Like, you might be a little frustrated at the end of the day, but you've got it done the way you wanted to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, thank you on that. Let's jump over to, I want to find out, because, man, we're cruising on time. I told you this 60 minutes is going to feel like 15. And
oh, my God, we're just 20 minutes left.
I know. So let's talk about this incredible product, Helix. Okay, now Helix.
Yes, sir.
And actually, this is a funny story too. This goes back to your Alex friend as well too, Alex Goldneck. And I say your Alex friend as if it's just a regular dude named Alex. Just happens to be an incredible guitar shredder. So one of my friends, Jeff Waters from the Canadian metal band.
Oh God, Jeff is a good friend of mine too. Great. I love Jeff. Jeff, if you see this, I love you. Mwah.
And he's over in UK now. He moved over there. I love him to death.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, of course you know. You talk to him more than I do. But he turned me on to Helix. He come on the EVH show, told me all about Helix, and I didn't know what Helix from the Canadian band Helix or Helix from Felix. I didn't know what it was. He told me about this product, and I just fell in love with it. And he was saying he was on a tour one time, and Testament was there as well too. And so the Testament's looking at an Annihilator's rig, and they're like, "What the heck, you guys? You sound so great. What are you using?" And
I know the story.
I know,
so good. Let me tell you about that tour.
Sure, please.
So Evanescence have been touring the U.S. And I always, when I tour the US, Canada, I always want to invite my friends. So I send a message to Alex and I send a message to Jeff. And they were both like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm touring Europe." So each time I am in the US and touring Canada and the US, apparently Testament and Annihilator are touring Europe. And this time they toured together. So it was like super funny because I sent that text message. I was like, "Hey, Jeff, do you want to come out, see a show? We're playing your town." And at the same time, I sent the message to Alex, and both were sitting next to each other somewhere in Europe being on tour. Oh, God. Yes, I know. Jeff uses the Helix as well, and he's doing a great job because apparently like you said, the Testament guys were like, "Wow, this sound is really mighty and big," and they had no cabs, no amps, no nothing. They just had the Helix, and I think that's quite hilarious. I don't want to name any other modeling brands because I don't like them.
Right.
But I think from what I've compared, the Helix has the very best amp simulation sounds. When I use, for example, when I'm at home and I'm practicing, I use the Helix as an interface. Mm-hmm. And I connect it to my computer. And of course, when I play live, I connect it with the amp, so I would not have any amp presets or anything. But for at home, for practicing, I love the Cali sound, like the Cali rectifier sounds.
Sure.
They're so cool. I also like the German, how is it called? Ubersonic. What is it called?
I forget the name of it because I'm stuck on a couple different amps, but I forget the actual one.
I think the Ubersonic. It sounds so mighty. It sounds like German Rammstein. It's like whoa.
Yeah.
And I love it, but when you talk about guitar tone, I think that is what Mesa Boogie and Angle and also Laney did very, very good, is that you have to focus on the mids and not too much on the depth and the high gain. Because if you blend in with the band, as a guitar player, your frequencies are the mid frequencies.
Yes.
The low end is the bass kick drum, like in bass, and the high end, the treble noises, let's call it noises, is crash cymbals and everything. So your position as a guitar player is putting the mids in between those two frequencies, and the Cali rectifier sound on the Helix is just perfect for that because it's got it. I like that bite of the sound. I really like it.
I'm really glad the way you talked about the mids, because that's something that it's really funny. I've had people do videos about me when I was running strictly amplifiers long before Helix. I would take my mids and turn them to 10, and I would take the knob off the mid so no one could ever touch it again. It was like full on 10. and it really, really cuts through. And people were making jokes about it, but then they tried the method and they liked it. Same thing in Helix. When I apply it to Helix, I go into whatever amp I'm using. I bring the on Helix a little different, maybe about 8 to maybe about 8 out of 10 on the mids, and it sounds beautiful. Mm-hmm. But a couple comments here in the chat too. Carlo Santin says the Angle Meteor, aka the Angle Powerball, is an amazing amp model. It's his main amp. And Johnny Lee is a really well-respected guy here in the Line 6 community. He's over in the UK. He says he forgot to say he met Jen at the Ibanez booth at NAMM, and he said, "Hi, Jen," and she said, "Nice to meet you," the end. So he was thrilled to meet you as well.
Hi.
He's great. You should see what he's doing right now with HX Stomp, and of course Helix in the communities. A great contributor as well too. Let's talk about Helix. So we're talking about Helix obviously, but I want to find out, where did this kind of fall into your lap? Like, how did Helix get on your radar? Was it Alex, or who told you about it?
No. The thing is, I joined Evanescence in summer 2015. We had the first shows in November, and it was 3 shows in the US and then playing Ozfest in Tokyo. And I remember that tour was so tough for me because Evanescence come with a lot of different guitar tunings. So you would have drop D, drop E flat, drop whatever, drop C, drop B. Then you have the baritones. Then you have the baritone standard tuning. Then you have the baritones in drop and half step down drop. So literally my first tour was with 11 guitars, and I just hated it. I don't want to be that guitar player on stage that changes guitars after every song, because people will think like, I'm a show off. Look at me. I have so many guitars.
That's right.
And it's just because of the many tunings. So I was using the Relay wireless system already before that. And I talked to the Line 6 guys. I was like, guys, do you have anything that can solve this problem? So I now, thanks to the Helix, limited my amount of guitars from 11 guitars down to 3 guitars.
Wow, 11
and I'm
to 3.
so happy with it, because I tried several pedals that would lower your guitar tone, like a half step lower, 1 step lower, and I'm sorry to say, they all sound like shit. They sound like shit. And even other amps, modeling amps companies, they sound like shit too. But the Helix is actually pretty good, and you can tune your guitar, the whole sound, down for like 1.5, even down to 2 whole steps. And it's not that, like that wobbly digital weird sound. It sounds good. And I'm so happy with that, because that really took away a couple of my guitars. And I'm glad with just playing 3 guitars. So the purple piano, the simple pitch of Helix, is like my favorite little spot on the Helix.
And you've got it. Well, that's the thing too. I've talked about this with a lot of artists on the show, on different shows here that I run. The fact that you play a guitar, and I mean, it's nice to have the vanity of having all these different guitars. Look at this one, look at the green one, look at the blue one, look at the purple one, blah blah blah. But if you have a good guitar that you really really love, like the one you're holding right now, and it feels good in your hands, it's kind of a shame to actually let go of it. So if you can hang on to that guitar as long as you can during that set, because you pick up the next guitar, it may play a little differently. You've got to now change your mindset, change your playing.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Of course. And I'm really looking forward to the upcoming May tour. We're playing like mostly East Coast shows in the States. And I'm going to play the new Action label from Ibanez as a 6-string version and a 7-string version. And I'm super excited about it. And I already now know that I don't want to let go of that guitar. You finish a song and you want to continue on that guitar. So I'm really happy that I can do that thanks to the purple piano.
Well, there you go. And one of your fans, I forget who said it, but they were saying they were looking forward to, actually Rita N says Evanescence need to do a Canadian tour. Now you are doing 1 date so far in Canada, up in Quebec, right?
Are we?
Yes, you are. I'm going to tell you are.
Okay,
and
cool.
that's okay. It's okay that you don't know that, because I don't blame you for not knowing that. I checked the tour.
Rita is the admin of my Canada fan club.
Oh,
I think all my admins are right now on this chat. So
I bet you they
if you say so, we play Canada once and then we leave probably again.
You are for sure, and that I don't blame you one bit for not knowing. And actually, a lot of people talking about Variacs. I mean, a lot of people. And I have a couple of Variacs here. We have 3 of them in the house. We have the Shurikens, and we have a JTV 89F.
Yeah.
Now I know, and I mean, this is not to take away anything from Ibanez, because I've loved Ibanez guitars for many years, and you're an Ibanez endorsed artist. Have you approached a Variacs to see what it can do for you? Have you tried that yet?
I've seen a lot of presentations and demos by Static, the guy from, what is this band called?
12 Foot Ninja.
I love him. He's such a great guy and such a great player. And I really think that this shuriken guitar that he designed with Line 6 it's breathtaking. But for me, as I'm very old school, and it is more like oh, there you go. You got one, right?
Yes.
Ah, shit. To be honest, I got a little scared when he was presenting the different and various options of muting strings and tuning strings by digital programming and stuff. You know, I want to... It's tough to explain, but I'm old school. I want to play a 6-string guitar or a 7-string guitar with real strings, and this shuriken and also the Variex feels more like a computer to me.
Okay. Yep.
So that is more like, okay, whatever, you kids, go play with your digital device. I stay with the guitar. It's not a guitar, it's a computer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love the Line 6 Helix. I'm a little terrified of the shuriken guitar because as a guitar teacher, because I own a music school, I see myself in hell if this becomes reality.
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to listen to songs and figure out how to play shit if that is the real deal then? You know, so I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
You know, that's my opinion about it.
You know where I came at it? I came at it from a different angle. Now, the one thing that I do like about it is be able to do different tunings and stuff like that without having used, physical pitch change. But when I got the shuriken here, actually, my son got one first. I got one after him. And what I like about it is everyone wants to do these demos on these guitars to show what they can do as the computer, as, world instruments and banjos and acoustic guitars and things like that.
Right.
When I played this guitar with its one humbucker, which reminded me of like an Eddie Van Halen guitar, take away all the computer and a nice ebony fretboard, which I don't think I've only owned one guitar that had an ebony fretboard. The guitar, pretend the computer's not even there, is a shred demon. And I like a Floyd Rose like you like a trem as well, too. I love a trem. But I played like a monster on this guitar. I know. And I've reached a few times to the Floyd that's not there, the invisible Floyd Rose. But as a guitar, as a rock guitar, it shreds. It just happens to do these other things. But you know what? If it doesn't work for you and you've got these pitch changes that you like in Helix and things like that, that's fantastic. That's all that matters. But I want to talk about one thing, back into Helix for a second. Maybe you can share some tips, and don't feel like you're pressured on this as far as, not having your guitar tech around with you. But you use, because you endorse angle amplifiers as well, too, and you're using Helix in a 4-cable method. Can you share some tips with our viewers, our fans of the product, and maybe users of the product, maybe to getting some of the best sounds out of using Helix with their favorite amplifier? I mean,
if you use it with your amplifier or not, for example, with synthesis, we've been touring without the real amp deal. So I literally finished with Evanescence 1.5 years of touring with just the Helix. And when I joined Cellogram for Kashmir, I had to figure out how to have like a distorted, cool, live guitar sound. And what I realized is that you have to think about editing the live distorted sound that you put out on the PA, like to your front of house guy, for every venue. It shall not be like you program something and it sounds great in your ears, and when you test it, it's like, but you also should think about adjusting it for every venue, because every venue and every PA sounds different.
Sure.
So we did that literally every day to get the perfect result, the perfect sound. Other than that, if you connect your Helix to the amp, my personally favorite part is that I can also switch channels with the Helix. I program it, and it's just so easy, because when I first started playing with Evanescence, we had this song called The Change. So there's a lot of delays and a lot of chorus and reverb and tons of effects going on. And then you have like distorted power sound. And I remember that rehearsal, and the guys were like, oh yes, Jen, you need a chorus. Oh yes, you need a delay. Oh, you need a phaser. Oh, you need this, you need that. And at the end of the day, I had like a battery of 11 pedals in front of me. And like I said, I'm old school. I never used a lot of pedals. I'm not a big pedal fan. I think tone comes from your fingers and not from the very expensive pedal devices you buy and put in front of your feet. And I just realized that this is impossible. It's not me. I don't want to do the pedal dance. It's like I want to focus on my playing instead of, oh, now you have to hit those 4 pedals at once. Yes. And I was just very desperate. So I like the idea of the Line 6 Helix pedal board. You can take your time, like really sink your teeth into programming the presets and do that without a hustle and do that without jumping on 3-4 buttons at the same time.
I know.
Which is just perfect.
That's right.
And then I go to the rehearsals and I can easily just transfer my presets that I have on my computer onto the pedal board that there is in the States. And it just works. And I am really also this last summer when we toured with Lindsey Sterling. Mm-hmm. We had super hot stages. Like we played Phoenix, Arizona, and some places, Houston, Texas. It was literally so hot. We had like 114 degrees on stage.
Oh man,
it was hot.
Yep.
One day we played a show, and even our FOH guy, he was like, "Okay, listen, the mixing console just gave up. It's too hot."
Shut down from the heat.
And I was like, "Okay, I wonder how this Helix works." So if you touch it, you will burn your finger. But guess what? The device worked.
Wow. That's
like
cool.
I also played the theremin on this tour. The theremin died. Everything died because of heat. But the Helix really pushed through. And that is something that is really important for me as a touring musician, that I can rely on the gear that I use. It's really going to be functioning every day. And it does. So I'm really happy with the Helix.
Well, that's a huge testimony on the product for sure. I mean, I know they do some crazy testing at Line 6. I mean, they'll throw stuff down the stairs. They'll drag it behind a car. It sounds like maybe they've thrown it.
I know.
It sounds like maybe they've thrown it in a volcano from what you've just said. Test it with molten magma, and see what happens. But speaking of presets, I'm going to say one thing before we talk about presets. Are you plugged into an amplifier right now at the moment?
No, I'm not. I'm sitting at my drummer's place,
no problem.
And I'm surrounded by drum stuff.
No problem. The only reason why I asked that, because a lot of people are asking if you wanted to play, and I kind of mentioned in the chat as well too that even if you were plugged into an amplifier, there you go.
I can only play like this. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mentioned anyways. It wouldn't do you justice anyways, because through Skype, unless you're going through an interface to me through the computer, it's probably not going to sound the best. And I would hate to have you, give your best and then, the internet kind of ruin it for you. So I kind of mentioned in the chat that, Skype will kind of ruin it. So don't worry about that. But okay. you have a preset that you provided for us today, and I got a chance. Yeah, two of them. You sent me a set list, which I exported, made into presets, and put them back up. We're going to share that link right now, and I'll just kind of mention to my better half here. I'll say share that link, and it's something that we did by accident.
Did you check it out?
Oh, I did. Yes, I did. And I said to
what do you think?
I freaking love it. I need more atmospheric stuff in my life. And I said to my son, Eric Jr., he's got a Shuriken, I've got a Shuriken. I was playing through here, and I'm like, dude, I said, Eric, I screamed. He's upstairs on his computer, broadcasting on YouTube, playing some games. Get down here right now. He comes down. I said, you ready for this? I said, Jen sent the presets. You want to hear them? I just did like an E chord down to a D, down to a C, and let it sustain. It was on the first one. There's Majura's Brain 1 and 2. And I freaking loved it. You know what I mean? I can just picture that. It's beautiful. So we did this by accident. We started getting guests coming on the show saying, would you provide a preset? And I created a monster I wasn't prepared for, because all these people now like, I want so-and-so's rig. Can I have the rig? Well, I guess, yes, you can. So thank you for providing those. But tell us a little bit about it.
So when you asked me if that would be a possibility, I was like, okay, I can't give you the Evanescence presets, because believe it or not, the only thing that I'm using for Evanescence is a little bit of chorus, a little bit of delay, sometimes a noise gate, and the purple piano. Like, all the Helix fans would be so disappointed if I just have those 4 things programmed. Right? So I was like, I can't do that. But then on the other hand, I remember that I programmed some really crazy sounds when I prepared for recording Insanity, my solo album, because I feel like that device with all its opportunities, it's really inspiring you in your creative work as an artist. So a lot of it happened by just accident, just by doing it and trying something out and like, ooh, this is awesome. Let's add something of this, like being creative with a digital device. So I came up with those two sounds. They're very atmospheric, very...
That's the word.
I don't know. I just love it. They put you, if you choose those presets and then you play one note and you close your eyes, you're going to be somewhere else, right?
You don't have to shred. It's just holding some roots, some root notes. It sounds beautiful. I'm not sure if you're a fan. Maybe you are. Do you know George Pahone Jr. from Black Eyed Peas? He also plays with Cairo Knife Fight.
I know the band, but not really the guy.
Well, through I mean, Black Eyed Peas is one thing; it's more pop. But through his other band, he plays with Cairo Knife Fight. It's basically two guys, a drummer and a guitar player. Now George is doing sampling stuff where he's running guitars, crazy low tunings, and then he's actually running another signal off to an Ampeg 810 bass cab, and all kinds of crazy stuff. But he's like that. You need to check him out, Cairo Knife Fight, and you'll appreciate this because he's been
on your show as well, right?
Yes,
I think I saw a link once.
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah.
And cool. It's really cool. And you mentioned about the atmospheric. That's why I described it today when I put it on Facebook. And thanks for adding me as a friend, by the way. I mentioned this is
absolutely
totally atmospheric. But George describes it as painting landscape. So you make this landscape. There you go. Thank you so much. Painting a landscape, and then you get to sprinkle this other stuff along the landscape. So with your presets, just a note here, a note here. Now I was just doing some fifth chords, and it sounded beautiful. Yes. Really nice.
Exactly. It's really inspiring because we live in a world of a lot of digital possibilities. Mm-hmm. Why not embrace it and go play with it, Like back in the days, what did they have? Like delay chorus flanger, and that was it.
I know, that's right.
And now we have so many possibilities. Why not just play with it and try to create new things that inspire ourselves as crazy creative artists, And I love that because it's very easy with the Helix. You're at home and you can just come up with the craziest ideas and program it and try it out and change it and switch it and edit it. I just love to work with it because it's very easy to understand. Mm-hmm. For example, I've got a friend and I recently got him into the Helix as well. So he's got one now as well. And I had to explain it to him. And I realized while I was explaining it, how easy it is to understand. Like it's not one of those computers where you sit in front and go like, what the fuck am I going to do now?
I know. It's very intimidating, but this isn't.
Yeah, it's so easy to understand. It's so like, oh, yeah, sure. Then you go here and then you just push the button. And it's really, even for, I don't want to call myself an idiot when it comes to digital stuff, but like I said, I'm pretty old school, but even I can handle the Helix.
Well, listen, I'm the same way. Like I work in technology for a living. That's what I do for a living. But some gear like that where I have to dive into parameters scared the living crap out of me. And I did not want to be one of those guys. I just want to turn a knob, like on a nice Boss Peddle or whatever. Turn a knob and I got what I've got. But with Helix, there's that home button. That if you're ever lost, click home, take you back home, right? It's like flying a drone. I'm lost, I click back home. But that's
the home button. I tell you, the home button is the. You'll be fine, Jen. Don't worry.
Go back home.
Push the home button. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, there's
whatever you just screwed up, you'll be fine.
That's right. Well, that I gotta give props to Eric Klein and his team at Line 6. I mean, there's so much. I don't even know how much, but I can only fathom. I can only guess how much research went into the user experience because it is one of the most inviting user interfaces there is. But before we wrap up here in a moment, I want to ask you, just go back for a second to the wireless because Frank was telling me that I think you were using the G75 wireless, and I'm using one of your entry level wirelesses, the Relay G10, and I love it.
I have one of those as well.
Yeah. Well, what's your thoughts on the G75? Like, I mean, there's just these purists out there, like the Eric Johnsons of the world. Like, I can tell the difference between a 6-foot cable and a 12-foot cable and a wireless. What are your thoughts on the cable versus that?
It makes a difference. To be honest, I played a lot of shows with Klotz cables because. I feel safer.
Okay.
Whenever you are playing a show with a lot of wireless around you. For example, like a casino show, which is surrounded by a lot of hotels who all have wireless, it can really fuck up your signal.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And it doesn't matter what company provides the Wi-Fi. It's just a fact. So the Line 6 wireless always worked really, really good and reliable until you hit the wrong venue.
Yeah, so, it can happen.
So I've always liked the old. What is it? I have a very, very old. You hardly can see and read it anymore because I used it so many times in so many years. It's one of the old Relay G30.
Okay.
And I love that one. It's gorgeous. It's so good. The Relay G10, the small one, is cool for smaller shows. But let me be frankly honest to you. Playing that one on stage with Evanescence in front of 5,000 people surrounded by wireless won't work.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I like to use it at home though.
Yep.
Because musicians always go like, oh, one day there's going to be a life without cables. Because you end up having bunches of cables everywhere. And don't get me wrong, they provide a very, very good sound. So I love my Clouds cables. But sometimes it's easy if you can just like pick up the guitar and hey, no cable attached. It's just my wireless and it's so easy to play.
Yeah.
So I like the Relay G10 for at home.
It's good.
On tour, I use the bigger ones and sometimes cables as well.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned Klotz as well too. I don't know much about them other than the brand name, and one of our regulars here and one of my friends and a big contributor in the Line 6 community is Steve Sterlacci. He's Klotz cable. I think he's a Klotz endorsed artist, and he's recommended them very heavily as well too. But I do agree with you. No matter what the brand is, there can be some moments where you have problems. I remember at NAMM this past January, I was there and I work closely with Rode for my microphones here. And they give me a really nice, a wireless interface that you can plug into any XLR microphone. And I shot about 8 videos. No problem. Our audio was good. I went to Boss, and Boss had an isolation booth. And I don't know how the signals got through the isolation booths, but I lost complete audio in the isolation booth because something was competing with my frequency. I don't know what 2.6 gigahertz or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But I lost my audio, and that can happen. It's just I'm sure nobody's. I remember Thomas Nordegg was telling us a story at the Generation Axe tour. He was saying that Zach Wilder's got like a $10,000 wireless system. It's crazy.
Sorry.
It's nuts.
Okay.
But listen, forget about that. Joe Bentavenia, the president of Yamaha Guitar Group, is giving a big props to Eric Klein, obviously the team at Helix, and that user interface. I mean, that is amazing. It certainly is. Yeah, it is. Before we wrap up, and this has been one hell of a pleasure. And you know what? Because there's so many things we didn't get a chance to explore. I know you got a crazy tour this year. We're friends now on Facebook and things like that. Let's stay in touch, and I'm going to get you to come back on another time, and we're going to recap.
Absolutely. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was getting so excited, I just almost ripped out here.
That's no problem.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Other than at the Evanescence tour that's kicking off right now, the things that you're doing, what can you share with us that you've got going for the, we're coming into the spring, out of the spring?
So we'll be out on the road touring the East Coast with Evanescence pretty much through May. In June, I'm having a lot of guitar clinics. I'm thinking about, or right now planning to do a guitar clinic in Italy, also doing some guitar clinics in Germany. Then July, we'll have some festival shows with Evanescence, so I'll be back in the States. And I'm really looking forward to that because we will be playing festivals with Korn and Five Finger Death Punch, and this is going to be awesome. And then September, August, whatever, I'm planning to do a little guitar clinic tour with some friends, but we're just right now talking, so there's nothing definitely happening right now so far. And that's pretty much it. And in fall, we'll see. Maybe there's another tour coming up, but not sure yet, so we'll see.
But busy is good, isn't it?
Busy is very good.
That's right. You sit around idle sometimes, you get yourself into trouble, and I'd rather be busy as well too. I sometimes look at these shows I'm doing, and I'm doing 4 of them. I'm like, how the hell am I going to keep up with these? But then I'd rather be doing that than like, what am I going to do tomorrow? It's fun.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I like to be productive. I like to create whether if it's socks that I'm knitting or it's music that I'm writing or it's touring, like do something with your life and use the time that you have to create and inspire and spend your life with positive vibes instead of sitting there and complaining,
Yes, very, very well said. That's probably one of the best takeaways from this whole show today, too, is just being positive. If you find somebody on the internet that can play way better guitar than you, find what they're doing and be positive about it, pass it on to somebody else, and give that pay it forward kind of mentality. I love that. As we wrap up here, too, I got to say this is completely something out of the box, out of left field, but one of the very first videos I saw of yours that you shared on Facebook was nothing of your own. No, it's good. It's okay. You did a great job. You just got your new Ibanez guitar, one of the new ones, and you're doing a cover of Audioslave's "Show Me How to Live." And
oh my God! You know why I did that cover? I did that cover because I had to practice a song.
Yeah.
Because I was playing at the NAMM show at the X Jam event.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to use my Helix gear.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And I was sharing stages with the stage with Per Nielsen. He's actually playing with Meshuggah right now.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God! And Kyle Hughes, the drummer for the Marco Mendoza solo band, I'm actually going to join them again. Marco Mendoza is playing next Friday here in Germany. I'm going to join them for one. Oops. Spoiled it. Anyway, so I played that song and I had to practice it. So I was like, what the fuck? I have this great new guitar. Let's put out a video. And I got off the stage in LA and I will never forget this moment. So there were 3 gentlemen standing there patting my shoulder and go like, great job, Jen. It was Mike Keneally, Andy Timmons.
Oh, wow.
And motherfucking Devin Townsend.
Nice.
And I got back to my backstage. I was like, oh my God, this just did not happen. That was awesome. So yes, so that was the first video of me you saw on Facebook. And
it's got a fun groove to it. That's why I sent you the version that I did with my band before I retired.
Yeah.
And my version was kind of like Eddie Van Halen meets, Tom Morello, you know what I mean? But it's just got that great groove, eh? I just love that.
It's awesome.
So that was fun, just to see you kicking back.
It's one of those few songs where you would listen and imagine it feels completely different to play it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sometimes you listen to a song and you go like, oh, this is the groove. And then you play it and it feels exactly like you felt it before.
It's fun,
but,
eh?
For example, my latest cover of the Steve Vai song, Pig, I listened to it like for ages. And then I played it and it started like being completely different for me because it felt so different. The playing was not what I felt before. So it was really challenging to learn that song, but I'm glad I did it. It was so much fun. It took me 2 days of rehearsing and it was just great fun.
I like the way you described it. You said, this is like, it's the equivalent of cleaning your fretboard.
Well, it is, right? I mean, I did Erotic Nightmares by Steve Vai, and I love Steve Vai. He's been my first guitar, like the real guitar influence. When everybody else was listening to boy bands and pop shit, I was listening to Steve Vai, and I loved his music ever since. God bless Steve. But I did Erotic Nightmares, which was the same feeling. It's like cleaning your fretboard. It's like this the whole time. It's
I know.
Crazy.
I
don't know how that guy composes. It's insane.
I see, hear, and feel a major Steve Vai influence in you, not just because of the guitars, but one of the things I love about Steve, and we're going to wrap up here in a second, but I love the way he kind of comes with ghost notes, with whammy bars. He'll come out of he'll be a dive, he'll come out of it and express such a note, and I've watched you do it a million times.
God, don't compare me to Steve Vai, God.
No, I'm not, because Steve Vai is Steve Vai. But certainly, you've captured a lot of that mojo, and I can see that. I mean, it's not that you sound like Steve Vai. You have your own voice, which is a great thing, but you're capturing some of those things that a lot of people just wouldn't be able to capture. It's like if someone tries to emulate Eddie Van Halen, the biggest thing they should be going for first before the notes is the feel. And they do. Some people do that, and you've done that with Steve Vai. So kudos to you for doing that. But listen, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I know people are saying don't wrap up. We're going to get you back on another show for sure.
I have to come back, right?
Yeah. I'd rather have people come back than, we could go for 3 or 4 hours. I don't want people, eventually, okay, we've heard it all, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I want to have you back. We'll get you back again. We're going to rock and roll. And this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm really, really excited.
Absolutely.
Didn't that feel like 15 minutes?
Yeah, I did. Eric, total fun chat. Thank you so much for having me.
You rock so much. Don't hang up yet. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air. We're going to say goodbye to everyone here on the air. Everyone, thank you so very, very much for tuning in and watching another fun episode of the Helix Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, please give a thumbs up for both ourselves and for our incredible guest. And if you haven't subscribed yet, look at those waves. I love it. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so now. Turn on post notifications, and I promise to work just as hard to keep you. And I'm trying so hard not to laugh right now because you're cracking me up. But I promise to work just as hard to keep you as a subscriber as I did to get you. And you know what? Screw it all. You're just hilarious. This has been great. I'm going to let you fly. I'll say goodbye to you off here. Everyone, we'll see you very soon. Go check out Walking Dead tonight. Season 9 finale is going to have lots of fun, crazy stuff. And Jen doesn't watch Walking Dead, but that's okay. We won't blame her. We'll see you all very, very soon right here on the Helix Hour. Take care, everyone. Cheers.
Hey, you're still here? Eric Jr. here, reminding you to check out our full lineup of quality merch. Available right now in the Broadstash Boutique. Quality products and fast shipping. Visit broadstash.com today.
Thank you for watching the Helix Hour. We hope you enjoyed today's presentation. An extra special thank you to the staff at Line 6 for their continued support. If you've not yet subscribed, please do so right now and feel free to share our content with your friends. See you next time on the Helix Hour.